Hi, it's Matt from Milwaukee Record.
And I'm Kristin from As Goes, Wisconsin.
And this is... Hello. Welcome back to another exciting episode, and hello, Kristin.
Hello, Matt.
It is nice to see you.
It is nice to see you. It's been a little bit.
It has been a little bit. It's been a few weeks.
Yeah.
And it feels...
it's summer.
It's summer. We're doing stuff. Everyone's busy. Everyone's enjoying the... It's like 9,000 degrees outside today.
This is why you drinking hot coffee gives me a little, sociopath vibes. But, we're in air conditioning, so I'll let it go.
There you go. So I was going to say, we haven't done this in a few weeks, so there's a ton to talk about. But I feel like even if we had done an episode like this morning, we probably would have a ton to talk about. Just minutes before we started recording here. Just to touch on this briefly, we don't really know a lot about it because it's literally breaking news. Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett apparently going to be nominated the U.S. ambassador to Luxembourg. You were the one who hit me to this.
I'm the one who hit you with it. And
I was setting up the camera and you're like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, so, which is crazy because we'll talk about that in a second. But so as I said to you, I feel like if I was Mayor Barrett, this seems like a huge upgrade as far as ease of job. Mm-hmm. Being the mayor of Milwaukee does not seem like an easy job at all. It's an awesome city. Not without its own problems, though. Versus Luxembourg, I was looking up some facts about Luxembourg. Second highest GDP per capita in the world. So we're talking about the second richest country, basically, in the world. One of the lowest crime rates in the world. Their population, basically the size of Milwaukee. Just generally seems like a lovely, pretty easy place to have to deal with because they probably don't have many issues that you have to, ambassador. Is that a verb? I don't know.
Sure.
So I can understand that when you're 76, how old is he?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think he's in his 60s. I want to say
60s?
67? I don't know. I'm so bad with ages anymore.
Anyways, I feel like if you're not really ready to retire, but ready to retire, not a bad option.
He has been mayor since 2002, I want to say.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. And, I think there's not... both on both sides, I would say there's not a ton of people who are necessarily sad to see him leave.
Right.
If this happens.
I've been a moderate fan of him for many years. He seems like a nice guy. And I think he's done some good things. He's kind of milquetoast in a lot of other ways. But I think, yes, you're right. I don't think anyone's going to be, And
I feel like this is, because if this happens and Chevy Johnson becomes mayor.
That's right.
And I don't know a ton about Chevy Johnson. I think I've met him once. Seems like a nice enough guy. But I think, good kind of how it took Cuomo resigning for New York to get its first female governor. Maybe this is what it takes Milwaukee to get its first black mayor. It
would actually be Milwaukee's second black mayor. There was Marvin Pratt, I believe, kind of came into a similar situation. He was only here very, very briefly, and I forget the details of it, but... I've seen some people mention that on Twitter as well. It's like, well, he technically wouldn't be the first black mayor. But,
excuse me. All right. So we still haven't had an elected
that is
black mayor.
There you go.
That is shitty.
Yeah, very strange. So, like I said, that just broke minutes ago and has tossed, thrown my world into disarray. And
we're missing all the Twitter jokes right now.
I know. Let's blast through this thing and get to what we're getting to. What are we talking about today? We're talking about a lot of big stories. Let's start with...
Well, easy transition.
Easy transition, yes.
Mayor Barrett this week said, even though he knew that this was in his pipeline, that first kind of city, I think, in Wisconsin that's saying all city employees by September 1st have to be vaccinated, which comes on the heels of yesterday or Monday, Governor Evers offering a $100 incentive to people who above 12 who would get vaccinated before... Labor Day. Mm-hmm. Some more, if you're not sick of talking about vaccines, because that's still happening.
Still a thing. This also comes on the heels of the big State Fair Cream Puff giveaway, where I believe it was 608 people got vaccinated at the State Fair and got a little...
a free cream puff.
Free cream
so
puff,
it'll be interesting to see if the $100... What's a bigger incentive? $100 or a cream puff? It'll be... telling.
It is going to be
if
interesting.
it's
I
the cream
mean,
puff.
people will stand in line for blocks to get a free George Webb burger if the Brewers win like 12 in a row
true.
or whatever. They will wait a day for that kind of stuff. So,
I had my first cream puff, finally.
how was it? I saw a video of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's pretty good, but it's not like my world's not changed.
I think generally it's fine. Mm-hmm. You know, like I realize I have this entire adult list of things to do in Wisconsin that I just either only did as a kid before I moved, or a lot of them I was not allowed to do because it includes alcohol. Not that really stopped me when I was 14 or 15, but whatever. But cream puff, for some reason, my family, I think we just like didn't do the state fair very much. So got my first cream puff, and yeah, it was. I feel like it has the potential to be really good. Like if the pastry was as like craftfully made as like a French, like really delicate, like croissant type thing.
There you go.
And then if the cream, I think, was sweeter, like the thing that they're there, but the together was kind of like, I'll go for the Glazy Boy.
Ooh, the Glazy Boy. Yeah, did you have that?
I did have
too.
that.
Very
There's
good.
a lot of things going on in that. A lot of flavors.
It was a donut with some, what was in that?
I think it was a donut, pork, raspberry jam, Gruyere cheese.
Bacon?
Maybe bacon. No, I feel like if it was bacon, it would have really... Bacon makes everything taste like bacon. Mm-hmm. I don't think I remember a bacon seasoning on there. But it was a lot. But pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Now, I was going to ask you about the $100, it's like a gift card, right? Or
it's like a Visa gift card.
Yeah, basically get $100. How do you feel about that? Because when that was announced, it was just a couple days ago, I saw a lot of people getting very upset about this. And I'm sure this conversation has happened, all over the country, wherever this has taken place. Finally, it comes to Wisconsin. A lot of people saying, why are we celebrating? Why are we rewarding these people that have been dragging their feet for so long? And why don't I get $100 for doing the right thing as soon as I could, blah, 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 blah. And it was funny because before this was announced, I was actually had a vague idea in my mind that Milwaukee Records should do something similar to this. Like we'd take $1,000 and like give 10 people $100 to get vaccinated, just to kind of like get the ball rolling. And now kind of, we don't need to since the entire state's doing that.
Yeah.
And we don't have $1,000. We're broke.
I literally, that was going through my head. It's like,
how are these guys
what kind of ad money are you guys pulling in right now?
It's just woo-hoo-hoo. That's right. So I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I feel like that argument is kind of like the people who were like, well, I paid off my student loans, and so why should people who have debt right now not have to? Mm-hmm. And I think there's other... I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of student loans, but I think like the, well, what about me-ism of the argument is not very helpful when it comes to the public good. Of like, I did this, because it's like we're trying to achieve something as far as the status and precedented times going backwards. But like, so I think like that is not helpful. I think, is this the most effective way to motivate? I think we'll see, right? Like, is $100 more motivating than the Powerball type thing? Was it Ohio?
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Ohio was doing like $1 million
very early on.
The chance for $1 million, and as we know of how many people I live with one buys a Powerball ticket fairly often. Nice. As like just the chance to win.
Sure.
Is that more because the suspension of belief of like what you could do if you won that money is more motivating to do it than the actual $100 in your pocket. Right. So that's more like the psychology of, will this work?
Right. Huh. I think it's fine. Beyond all that, it's just, I'm at the point where whatever it takes, whatever we got to do, if it's a cream puff, if it's a hot dog, if it's a lottery ticket, if it's $100, I don't care. I don't care if you were a denier this entire time and a big asshole about it. If you do get vaccinated, congratulations. I love you. I don't know.
I actually had someone this week who, I don't know her. I know her through like social media or whatever. And she said she and her family got COVID. And I was like, how was that? And she goes, to be honest, it really sucked. And I wasn't vaccinated, and I wish, like, I regret it. And so, I don't know. Like, I mean, obviously, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but, like, the whole Senator Andre Jacques situation.
That's right.
For anyone who doesn't know what's happening there, he's from De Pere.
Mm-hmm.
State Senator Andre Jacques, who is, in his policies, or he has been one of the most staunch, like, anti-mask, vaccination mandates, like, guy in Wisconsin, at least in the Wisconsin state legislature. He is also, how do I put this nicely? It's like not the beacon of health. He is a very large man. Mm-hmm. And he, as of last week, right before he even announced, or the news broke that he had COVID, had been on the Capitol floor without a mask, and now is on a ventilator. And so, I think I forgot who the two reps who are his peers that were, like, put up public statements basically asking people to, like, pray for him, because I think it's not looking very good. And I'm not that callous of a person to be like, oh, this is, like, stupid, will kill you, or whatever, like, all the mean things that have been saying. But, like, it's shocking to me how that can very publicly happen, and yet the legislature's still trying to go, like, toe-to-toe with Tommy Thompson. I'm like...
That's right.
I don't know if that's about control or about we just don't want mask mandates. I don't know what that's about, but, like, as you see the consequences of what can happen, I just don't know how you continue to not be a little softer on the issues.
Yeah. Their heels are dug in so much, and it is frustrating. I don't know. When we get to situations like that, like a very anti-vaccine person getting sick, I just tend to say nothing. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to stay quiet here and move on. Speaking of... I was just thinking of this transition for a little while. Speaking of just staying quiet and not saying
good
anything.
Transition.
Thank you, yes. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about Colectivo. Milwaukee's own and Chicago's own Colectivo. Earlier this week, workers at Colectivo had finally successfully voted to unionize. This vote was kind of tied up for a while. It was tied for a while. There were 7 ballots or so that were being contested, I believe, by Colectivo ownership. Those were finally opened just a few days ago, and it put the vote over the top. And now the Colectivo workers are going to be represented by a union. How about that? Some like 440 total employees. I forget how many voted in the union election.
It must have been around 200, because I think the final vote was like 106 to like...
That sounds like 99. Something
it was
like that,
close. Yeah. I think I wrote it down somewhere. But but making them the largest unionized cafe, right, in the country?
I believe so, yeah. It's big news. I mean, and it's something that's been attempted, I think, before in Milwaukee with some smaller coffee shops. I don't think it's been successful. This is certainly a big deal. I am not smart enough to know a lot about unions, and I've never been in a position to have like a unionized job, and it's kind of over my head. So my interest in this story, well, it's interesting all around, but I was very curious and very interested in the ownership's statement that they had apparently just ready to go after the vote was announced, and they released this on Instagram and Facebook. They've since taken it down because it didn't do too well. I don't know what they were thinking. It was kind of a 4-panel open letter. I'll read just a little bit of it here. This is kind of the meat of it here. They say, "We are disappointed by this result because a majority of our coworkers did not vote in favor of unionization, and because the NLRB counted votes of several individuals who announced their resignation prior to the close of the election. We don't think those former co-workers should have been allowed to have a voice in unionization at an organization where they did not intend to work. The outcome is the result of a process that took place last spring, and our employee census is dynamic. At final count, less than 1/3 of the eligible co-workers supported the union, and as of today, it is our best estimates that fewer than 100 of our current 440 co-workers voted for this union. We will, of course, respect the rules and bargain in good faith." I had to toss that in. This was signed by Dan, Lincoln, Paul, and Ward. And as I said, they've since deleted that because I think for a while they shut down comments on Facebook, or you had to, limiting who could comment on that on Facebook. It didn't do too well. It was they may have got ratioed as the kids say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was, no matter where you come on, because I get it, right? There is pressure if you're competing with Starbucks, like, when it comes to margins and whatever. And I also don't know enough about what they're asking for by unionizing, of like what they didn't already have that they're trying to bargain for and stuff like that. Like, there's more details to what this happens and why the ownership was so against it. But like, you could have just not said anything.
Yeah.
Like, even if you feel that way, as far as like, we are disappointed in the results, we don't think they're fair. It's like, well, you're not going to change it.
Right.
And you just look like assholes now. Yeah. And so it's like, it was honestly kind of, for me, it's not as nationally probably known, but it's like, that was kind of like Andrew Cuomo's like apology. Like, or his like non-apology, right. Or his like resignation speech, or whatever the multiple things that he said in the last month was like, hey, I kind of did these things because I'm Italian, and that's like what we do. But like, I don't want to like be in the way of government working, so I'm going to step down. So it's like, what? And so, I just want to know how many people, like the social media manager, like how many people are like, I don't think we should do this. Like, how many stops there were of like, we could not. Ugh. We could not.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we're doing it.
This seemed real off the books. I don't know that the social media manager was involved in this because he or she would have probably said, let's not do this. This puts consumers, us as Milwaukeeans, in kind of a pickle, doesn't it, about the whole unionization?
Well, because you had said, like, I didn't grow up in Milwaukee, and I think that there's, at least especially things that you've said to me, or different sentiments I've read on the social medias of, like, Colectivo was a cool Milwaukee homegrown company, and, like, they obviously grew, what was it, what was their original name? Altera. Grew that to be successful enough to sell it very profitably, and then rebrand and grow again. And so it's like, it's a cool story. But it's now so like tinged with
it is
like,
yeah. When I think of these places like Colectivo and other places like Comet Cafe and other places that when I first moved here in 1996, which was about 25 years ago, these were kind of, these were kind of like the new hip places run by young hip people, and they were just getting started, and it was very exciting. And now, 25 years later, it is very strange for me to see them being seen by a lot of people as kind of the bad guys, that they've been around so long. What's the saying? Either die a hero or you stick around long enough to become the villain. Like, I'm getting such weird vibes like that, because in my mind it's still just like, oh, they're all still 27 years old, and they all just started this
idealistic and
great thing, and they're cool punk rock kids who started their own business, and now, but they're not anymore, and neither am I.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
But here's the big question: will you continue to shop at Colectivo or buy coffee? That's Stone Creek. But I almost got Colectivo for you on the way here, just to to bring that up. But
Stone Creek.
Do you think does this taint your choice to frequent there?
Well, that's kind of the thing, and there has been a little debate about that. I've seen online of, a lot of people were really turned off by the statement from the owners, so the inclination was to be like, go to hell, we're not coming and shopping, we're going to boycott you, in fact. And then people are like, well, wait a minute, if we want to support these workers that have voted to unionize, we should, spend some money there. It is a bit of a pickle. I don't know. It's, I don't know. I'll probably continue to go there, and I like their food. Coffee's fine.
And
I
mean, that their lakefront real estate is hard to beat.
It is hard to beat.
That's a pretty good location.
If I had to, come down one way or the other, I would say, like, I will continue to support them because I do want to support the workers, and I think that's the right way to go. So, but that's just me. Moving on, should we talk about, I think maybe this should be a new segment where it's a big complicated issue that I don't understand, and you hopefully understand, and you can explain it to me. What is it? Like, explain it to me like I'm 5 or whatever, in the 5th grade or whatever. This is the recent Milwaukee census results. This was a huge issue, and I don't understand any of it. Can you get me up to speed on what's happening here?
Sure. So I got some notes, but we'll see. So basically, census, we all should have taken our census last year. That only happens every 10 years. And they use that information for basically everything for the next 10 years. And so the big push to get people to take it is because quite literally, if you don't take it, you don't get counted. Yeah. And the underrepresentation of not only the population of where you live, but also your nationality or your, like, all these different things that could provide more resources to your community. If it looks like you're not there, or multiples of you are not there, then you get undercounted, and that affects a lot of different things. So census data finally has come back. And the whole thing with the census was that it was very botched. Like, Trump basically was trying to, like, rush results, and there was these lawsuits about having a citizenship question. And so the scare tactics of either undocumented immigrants or anyone really is just like, and there's just also general mistrust of the government having your information, right? Sure. And so there's certain groups who are always undercounted. So that's kind of the background of the census. Census information came back, and what we learned about Wisconsin is we only grew by 4%. And the large reason that the stagnated growth, they're largely pointing to low birth rates, which is the whole country is kind of like that.
Sure.
We're actually not as bad about people moving in and out as I thought we were going to be, but so low birth rates. Dane County grew a lot. Dane County has about 75,000 more people than they did 10 years ago. But the big thing is that according to the census, it says Milwaukee has 17,000 less people.
Okay.
Now, there's questions of whether that's accurate and that there's an undercount for the reasons I just said. Like, whether just people didn't respond or take it back, or they didn't, like, they were scared to, or whatever. So there's now already challenges happening to try to get a new count. Because, like I said, there's huge consequences. If there actually are more people in Milwaukee than the census said, like, that affects how the alderman districts are drawn. This affects, like, how many assembly people we get in the legislature, our state senators. Like, it affects a bunch of different things. And again, how many resources we get allocated to our population. So there's that part. But then overall, like, I think what the experts are saying is, like, what, both for Milwaukee and for the state, like, what policy people should be focused on is policies that affect and encourage the birth rate to go back up. So we're talking, like, childcare, and then how you get people to, like, stop brain drain and get people to move here.
Right.
So that's a policy-wise, but also what this now opens the floodgates for is redistricting and fair maps, which I know we've talked about before, but we're already, like, quick, just like census is every 10 years, redistricting is every 10 years. 10 years ago, Wisconsin became the most gerrymandered state in the union. And we are now called a democracy desert. There was a headline last week from The Guardian that said, America's full of democracy deserts. Wisconsin's metrics compare to the Congo.
Wow, I missed that.
The lack of democracy in Wisconsin because of gerrymandering is equal to Congo. So chew on that.
Wow.
So we now are at the opportunity to change that and get fair maps. And so without even any maps being drawn, like, there's been no vote on any kind of new boundaries. There's already multiple lawsuits. There's 2 from the Democratic side, basically going straight to the federal courts, asking for, like, we all know that this is going to end with it going to the courts. So courts should already be prepared that they're going to be the ones that have to draw the maps.
Sure.
Then as of this week, the very conservative legal group WILL, which stands for, I always forget what, Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. Sure. They filed a lawsuit in the state courts because Wisconsin's Supreme Court sways conservative, even though judge shouldn't have, it should be a nonpartisan position, but I digress. basically arguing that they should be the ones who draw the maps.
Okay.
And that they should specifically, the court should make the least number of changes to the existing maps that are necessary.
Oh,
again, Wisconsin's the most gerrymandered state in the country. So maybe we need more changes than the least that are necessary. So that's kind of how the census data is playing out.
Thank you.
I don't know if that was like a fifth grader, but
it's great. It's just overwhelming. I don't know. It's overwhelming, and I feel like we always touch on this during all these episodes. It does boil down to gerrymandered maps, and it's just so hard to get people out that you would like to get out, or I don't know. It's
also like a hard issue to explain. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, it's a hard issue to get like the random person who doesn't follow politics, like cares, but like is not their main thing, to like wrap their head around the injustice of it. Right? And so it's like, and there's not like a direct call to action. Because what are you going to do? Call your legislature who like call your representative who has no reason to do anything because you're going to call your representative about gerrymandering even though they have no pressure to do anything because it's so gerrymandered. So it's like, well, what do I do?
Yeah.
Not to discourage you, like you should care.
please care.
It's tricky.
Whew, that about wraps it up. I don't know. I'm wondering what other local official has been named an ambassador to some other bizarre, Denmark, some other bizarre country that we don't think about a lot. Perhaps it could be our senior senator from Wisconsin. His name is Ron Johnson, and every episode we do a little segment where we kind of talk about what Ron Johnson has been up to lately. It's a segment that we like to call Mandatory Johnson. So, what has Ron Johnson been up to? Kind of the same old shit, really.
I think he's still kind of... Was he on the dewormer train?
He was kind of on the dewormer...
Yeah.
Everybody, get on that dewormer train.
Like, FDA-approved vaccine? Nah.
Get that dewormer.
Cattle...
that horse tranquilizer, whatever people are doing, yes.
Well, people already... That's just ketamine. People have been taking
that. Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah. That's a whole other episode. So, it's just kind of the same old, same old. I will put another plug for Milwaukee Record. A few weeks ago, we did run what I thought was clearly a Pulitzer-winning piece, or maybe at best a Milwaukee Press Club winning piece about Ron Johnson before he was a senator, and he was just some guy from Oshkosh. Well, he was a business owner from Oshkosh, whatever.
Big plastics guy.
And this was written by a friend of mine, Barry, and he was a DJ at the Oshkosh College radio station, and Ron Johnson got a hold of him because he wanted to promote this folk festival, or this Oshkosh Friends of Folk Music, that Ron Johnson was, it was his organization. He was booking, national folk acts to Oshkosh, and it was a big passion of his. So Ron Johnson sent Barry, the DJ, a mix CD, kind of a hand-burned and the tracks were written on the front of it from Ron Johnson himself. This all happened in 2001 or 2, I believe. This was 2002. It was kind of soon after 9/11, and Barry still has the disc and still had the letter from Ron Johnson, and it's a really funny story.
It's long too.
Pleased to run it.
It's a long article of the way he talks about getting invited to the concert and how the concert was, and it was what I took away from that is one, Ron Johnson, the way he was still a blowhard. Even back then, he was still I'm right, you're wrong. Because didn't he, bash the folk artists that Barry was promoting? He's those people, those bands are horse shit. Or something like that.
That's kind of how he
opens it. And he's listen to my guys. And then I also just love this image of, Ron Johnson in his, senator's office in D.C., listening to folk music. And, getting down with, you'd think that'd be, very soothing.
Right.
Maybe that's what he uses it for.
Could
but
be,
the way my mom listens to smooth jazz. Maybe that's his smooth jazz to lower his blood pressure.
Oh God, yeah, I do love the horse shit line where he's a lot of that old folk music, that's a lot of horse shit. Let me tell you why. Yeah, here's my guy. So if you haven't checked that out, check it out. It's a very entertaining story. Thanks to Barry for writing that. And I believe that should do it for
Mandatory Johnson.
So that about wraps things up. Kristin, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
What are you up to? I feel like you have a lot of events coming up. Are you?
Well, I'm speaking of gerrymandering, I'm emceeing a Fair Maps rally in Green Bay on Saturday. So, not sure how many Milwaukee record people live in the Fox Valley area, or if you want to drive up there.
We do have some folks up there.
Yeah. So it's going to be at the Back Bay Amusement Park. Is that the name of the amusement park? Back Bay?
Yes, that
right?
sounds right.
Yeah,
sounds
okay.
right.
Not a huge. I'm still finding my way around Green Bay. So it's at the amusement park. Speakers start at 11, but then they have huge screens and they're going to air the Packers game.
Oh, fun!
So that's happening. Summerfest is happening. What else? I feel like those are the big ones coming. Looking down the pipe, it's September. Are you going to do the Shamrock Shuffle?
That is coming up.
That is coming. The halfway Shamrock Shuffle that is usually in March. I am obviously biased because the person who runs the Shamrock Shuffle, I happen to live with him. But that is, So if you guys have not bought your tickets to have a midway Shamrock Shuffle, that's September 18th, and
I love the midway thing. I always love the halfway to Halloween events and stuff. Yeah, I'm gearing up for Halloween. I'll put in my own personal event plug. It was just announced earlier today. Like I said, just a really busy day for exciting news. I will be the official MC of the Brady Street Pet Parade on October 3rd. Yes, I've been
put it in my calendar.
Been sitting on this news for a while. Very exciting. I'm the official MC. I believe Fox 6's own Ted Perry will be a celebrity judge. Trapper Shep, Milwaukee's own Trapper Shep, he will be providing musical entertainment, and I will be emceeing the thing. So
are you announcing the pets and
I believe I'm the first MC in Brady Street Pet Parade history. I don't know that they've ever had an MC before, so this may be mine to really
really mold into your own,
make my own. So I'm gonna deploy a lot of wacky pet voices.
Love it.
I don't want to go full Fred Willard in Best of Show, but I'm working on it. So yeah, that's coming up October 3rd.
That trumps. That trumps everything.
Oh, I don't know.
That sounds incredible.
Well, that about wraps things up. Thanks again, Kristin, for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll talk to you soon.